Right now, somewhere in your body, a cancer cell might be dividing. Not a tumor, not a mass, just one rogue cell, splitting silently, doing what cancer does before anyone notices. The problem with modern medicine is that by the time we detect most cancers, they've already been there for years. We're always late to the scene. The drugs we use to fight them, they don't discriminate. They hit everything. Tumors? Yes, but also healthy tissue, your immune system, your hair follicles. It's essentially carpet bombing your insides and hoping the cancer takes the bigger hit. But what if the solution wasn't carpet bombing? What if we could send in soldiers? Microscopic, programmable, surgical, who already know exactly which cell to hit. That's not a sci-fi premise anymore. That's the actual direction of research happening right now, Flop, in labs in Boston, in Stuttgart, in Beijing, and the implications of where it's heading. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They are wild. So let's talk about what nanobots actually are, because the word gets thrown around a lot and it means something different depending on who's saying it. In the strictest scientific sense, a nanobot operates at the nanometer scale. We're talking about structures between 1 and a few hundred nanometers. For reference, a single strand of human hair is about 80,000 nanometers wide. So these things are not just small, they're incomprehensibly small. Now here's where it splits into two camps. You've got biological nanobots, which are essentially engineered molecules, DNA origami structures, or reprogrammed bacteria that your body doesn't immediately reject because, well, they look like biology. And then you've got mechanical nanobots, actual physical machines built from materials like carbon nanotubes or graphene, powered by chemical reactions or external magnetic fields. The research that's actually producing results right now? It's mostly the biological side. At MIT's Koch Institute, researchers have been developing lipid nanoparticles, essentially fat-based shells that can carry mRNA directly into specific cell types. That same platform, by the way, is what made the Pfizer and Moderna COVID vaccines work. So this isn't theoretical anymore. We already used a primitive version of this technology on literally billions of people. Over at the Max Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems in Stuttgart, a team led by Peer Fisher has been building microscopic robots, shaped like screws, some like spirals, that can be steered through fluid using rotating magnetic fields. External magnets outside the body guide them like a remote control car, except the car is the size of a bacterium and it's inside your bloodstream. They've successfully navigated these through eye fluid and demonstrated targeted drug delivery in lab environments. I know what you're thinking. Okay, cool science project, but we're nowhere near actual humans. And you're mostly right. But the gap between lab demo and clinical use is closing faster than anyone expected. The first human trials of nanoparticle-based cancer treatments started over a decade ago. The FDA has already approved several nanoparticle drug carriers. The scaffolding exists. Now we're engineering what goes inside. Let me walk you through what a near-future therapeutic nanobot swarm might actually look like in practice. Not the sci-fi version, the version that's scientifically plausible based on where the research is actually pointing. You go in for your annual checkup. Instead of a blood draw followed by a week of waiting, a doctor injects a solution. It looks like clear water, containing roughly 1 billion nanoparticles. They disperse through your bloodstream within minutes. Each particle is coated with surface receptors, molecular locks, that are keyed specifically to biomarkers associated with arterial plaque or early-stage tumor cells, or even misfolded proteins that predict Alzheimer's onset years before symptoms appear. When a particle finds a match, it docks. It either releases a drug payload directly at the site, or it flags the location and sends a signal, essentially pinging a receiver you're wearing, which logs it in your medical record. The artery cleaning part, honestly, that one alone could save hundreds of thousands of lives every year. Cardiovascular disease kills about 17 million people annually worldwide, according to the WHO. The main mechanism is arterial plaque buildup, cholesterol and fatty deposits narrowing the arteries until something gives. Statins and lifestyle changes slow it. But a targeted nanoswarm that patrols your arteries and chemically degrades plaque deposits, that's a fundamentally different category of intervention. And the cancer detection angle is just as significant. The reason early cancer detection saves lives is because stage 1 cancer is usually localized. You can cut it out or hit it with radiation, and there's a good outcome. Stage 4 means it's already spread, a nanobot fleet that detects a single abnormal cell before it forms a tumor, before it spreads. That collapses the entire detection timeline to essentially zero lag. That's not science fiction. Researchers at Stanford published work in 2023 on nanoparticle-based liquid biopsy technology that can detect circulating tumor DNA at concentrations that were previously undetectable. You dissolve the line between the cancer started and we caught it. All right. Now we go somewhere weirder. Because while treating cancer and clearing arteries are the immediate goals, there's a more radical conversation happening in certain corners of biogerontology. That's the science of aging, and it basically goes like this. What if we could stop aging itself? Aging isn't actually one thing. It's the compounding of cellular damage over time, DNA mutations that accumulate, mitochondria that lose efficiency, telomeres that shorten with every cell division, senescent cells that stop dividing but refuse to die and instead just sit there pumping out inflammatory signals like a disgruntled employee who won't quit but won't work either. The theoretical argument for nanobots as an anti-aging tool is that if you can continuously monitor and repair cellular damage as it accumulates, fixing DNA strand breaks, clearing out senescent cells, maintaining mitochondrial function, you could, in theory, maintain a body at something close to its biological peak indefinitely. The body is a machine. Machines don't have to wear out if you have good enough maintenance tools. Now, and I want to be really clear here, this is trajectory, not outcome. The physics and biology don't rule it out, but we are nowhere near this level of sophistication. The most advanced cellular repair nanobots that exist today are essentially one-trick ponies. They do one thing, targeting a single receptor, delivering a single payload. The kind of continuous adaptive full-body cellular maintenance we're describing here requires autonomous decision-making at the nanoscale, energy systems we haven't built, and biocompatibility we haven't solved. Ray Kurzweil has been predicting full-scale nanomedicine since the 1990s and keeps moving the goalposts forward. But the scientific establishment, not the futurists, actual researchers, are now openly publishing work on what they call longevity escape velocity. The idea that if we can extend healthy lifespan faster than time passes, buying one extra healthy year per year, effectively, biological death becomes optional. David Sinclair at Harvard, Aubrey de Grey's SENS Research Foundation, the Calico Labs project funded by Alphabet, these aren't fringe operations. The money, the talent, and the toolset are all pointing in the same direction. So here's where I have to pump the brakes a little, because even setting aside the scientific challenges, there's a set of problems with this technology that don't get talked about enough in the hype cycle, and they're genuinely thorny. First, the access problem. Every major medical breakthrough in the last 50 years, MRI machines, HIV antiretrovirals, immunotherapy drugs, started as extraordinarily expensive and took decades to become broadly accessible. A personalized nanobot treatment designed for your specific biomarkers would be initially almost incomprehensibly expensive. We could be looking at a world where the ultra-wealthy extend their health spans by decades, while everyone else still dies from preventable diseases. That's not a hypothetical. That's the historical pattern every single time. Second, cybersecurity. And yeah, I hear the eye rolls from here. But listen, if your nanobots are externally controllable, which the magnetic steering systems are by design, then in principle, so is whatever's in your body. There are already published papers on theoretical attacks against pacemakers and insulin pumps. Scale that attack surface to a swarm of devices inside someone's cardiovascular system, and the stakes become significantly more dramatic. Setting up a nanomedicine security protocol felt like assembling IKEA furniture with instructions translated from Swedish into Klingon by someone who'd never seen a screwdriver. And that's the problem. No one has written those instructions yet. And third, privacy. A continuous health monitoring nanoswarm generates data, an enormous amount of it. Your real-time blood glucose, inflammation markers, whether your stress hormones spiked at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Who owns that data? Your doctor? Your insurance company? The government? The company that built the bots? These aren't questions the tech will answer. These are questions that societies have to decide before the tech ships. And historically, we're extremely bad at doing that. I'm genuinely curious where people land on this one. Drop it in the comments. Would you put nanobots in your body tomorrow if they were proven safe? Or does the surveillance angle kill it for you? Because that divide in the comments is always more interesting than anything I could say up here. Here's where I actually land on all of this. The medicine is real, the progress is genuine, and the near-term applications, targeted cancer treatment, artery maintenance, early disease detection, those aren't fantasies. They're engineering problems that smart people are actively solving with actual funding and actual results. The immortality angle? That's real science too, just on a much longer timeline than the headlines suggest. The honest answer is, nobody knows if it's possible, but the trajectory of the tools suggests we're going to find out within our lifetimes. That's not nothing. What I do know is that the people thinking hardest about how to govern this technology are years behind the people building it. And that gap is the actual thing worth worrying about. TechX24 Live has covered a lot of medical tech this year, and this is the one that keeps me up at night. Not because it's scary, because it's close. Closer than most people realize. And the window to get the ethics right is narrowing fast.